Okay, let me ask you something that most business owners aren't willing to say out loud. Are you tired? I'm not talking just physically, but like existentially, that deep, soul-worn kind of tired that comes from carrying the weight of your business on your back for way too long. Because here's the truth that too many founders are living with, but not effectively naming. Most businesses don't have a leadership problem. They have a you problem. You're too necessary, too central, too embedded in the day-to-day, the decisions, the people, the problems, the fire drills, the approval, the quality control, the strategy, the sales calls, the client handholding, the vision casting. You're everywhere, and it's killing all of your momentum. So let's call this what it is. Founder Dependency Disorder. Pretty fancy, right? But here's the thing, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. In fact, it probably means you're the kind of leader who deeply cares, who wants it done right, who built this business with sweat equity and vision and a standard of excellence that most people don't even recognize. But that same commitment, the one thing that got you here, is the very thing that's choking your future growth. Because there's a point in every founder's journey where being central stops being effective and starts becoming exhausting. You want to know the worst part? You probably already know it. You felt it in your bones when you walk into a team meeting and you realize everyone's waiting for you to start it, steer it, solve it, and then sign off on it. You felt it in your gut when you try to take a vacation and still end up answering texts about passwords, approvals, or problems that only you know how to solve. You felt it deep in your chest when the thought creeps in, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, this whole thing falls apart. That's not a business, my friends. That's a hostage situation. And it's time to break out. Today, we're talking about step 8 of empowerment design. Install the Intrapreneurial Leader System. This is the step where we stop glorifying founder martyrdom and start building something that actually scales without burning you alive. This isn't about delegation. This is about duplication. Because true empowerment doesn't come from handing people tasks. It comes from developing leaders. You can't outsource your vision, but you can multiply your leadership. And that's what the Intrapreneurial Leader System is designed to do precisely. So let's back up for just a second. Because before we talk about systems, let's talk about why this shift is so very hard in the first place. There's this sneaky lie in entrepreneurship that says something like, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. And for a while, that might be true. Like in the early days when you are the business, every process, every client relationship, every decision flows right through you. That's normal. But it's also supposed to be very, very temporary. The problem is most founders never get the memo. They just get better at managing more. They become masters of context switching, experts in firefighting, the high-functioning chaos navigators who hold it all together through sheer willpower and a little bit of overfunctioning. And then the world praises us for it, right? You're such a strong leader. It's amazing. You always pull through. Or this one, you are the heart and soul of the business. Sounds pretty flattering, right? But here's what they don't tell you. Praise can also be a prison. Because while everyone else sees the strength, you're quietly drowning. You're missing dinners at home. You're waking up in the middle of the night with anxiety. You're dropping the balls that used to be easy to catch. And you're leading meetings where your team stares at you with those blank eyes, waiting for you to make all the calls. And deep down, you're starting to wonder, is this really sustainable? Well, spoiler alert, everybody, it's not. That's why this step exists, because empowerment design isn't about building a business that looks impressive from the outside. It's about building one that actually supports your life, that doesn't depend on you being superhuman to keep the whole thing moving forward. And that requires more than systems and SOPs. It requires leadership multiplication. Good news, that's where ILS comes in. The Intrapreneurial Leader System is not a motivational talk or a personality typing gimmick. It's a methodical process of building leadership into the DNA of your organization so that every single seat becomes a CEO seat. Now here's the shift. Instead of being the only person who looks like an owner, you start training your people to lead like owners also. And it's not to replace you, it's to expand you. So let's get real about this. You might already have potential leaders on your team right now. They're probably the ones that are asking the good questions, the ones who care about the outcome, the ones who catch the details that the others miss, and the ones who stay late without being asked because they're probably thinking 3 steps ahead of everyone. But here's what most companies do wrong. They wait too long to develop them. They assume that leadership is reserved for the top tier, the management level, the people who have the title. Well, ILS flips that on its head. We start with a very simple belief. Leadership is not a title. It's a way of thinking, acting, and choosing. And then we build the infrastructure to support it. Intrapreneurs are employees who think like founders. They take initiative. They solve problems. They guard the mission. They raise all of the standards, and they don't wait for permission. They ask better questions. But here's the key. They don't just appear. They're developed. And if you want a business that doesn't rest on your shoulders, you need to become a developer of people, not just a manager of work. Let me tell you a little bit about Brittany. Brittany was a client-facing team lead in a really fast-growing agency that we were blessed to work with. Super smart, really detail-oriented, but she was stuck in the cycle of task execution. She had great ideas, she had really good insight, but she was always looking up the chain of command waiting for approval until we installed the ILS. We walked her and her team through what we call the 4 currents of leadership. They are visionary wave, steady stream, dynamic current, and reflective tide. And we help them identify their leadership style, not as a label, but as a lens. And we show Brittany how her natural strengths weren't just useful, they were essential to shaping culture, solving problems, and then guiding her team. Then we built her a micro pathway, a structured 30-day leadership sprint focused on one thing, owning outcomes, not just tasks. And then we gave her an assignment. Redesign one of the team's broken client onboarding processes without waiting for anything from upper management. She crushed it. Client retention jumped. Her team felt more connected, and her confidence, it grew. But here's the most important thing. The founder stopped being the only person who could improve the business. Brittany became a builder. That's ILS in motion. And once you see it happen, you will never want to go back. Because nothing is more freeing than watching someone else rise. Let me tell you something that most leadership books won't. This idea of empowerment, it's messy. It is not clean. It's not perfect. It actually requires mistakes, tension, learning, and then letting go. But it's the most worthwhile investment that you'll ever make. Because on the other side of that messy empowerment is freedom. The freedom to rest, the freedom to trust, the freedom to build the next level without dragging the old level behind you when it's already dead. That's what I want for you. That's what we want for you. That's what empowerment design demands from you. Now, if you're still the person catching every ball, making every decision, fixing every error, you're not leading a team. You're leading a task force. And task force don't scale. Leaders do. Let me bring this down to street level. Okay, if you're feeling exhausted, frustrated, or just maxed out, that is not a signal to push harder. It's a signal to build differently. It's a call to install systems of leadership, not just leadership at the top, but leadership at every single level. It's time to stop asking, why don't they get it? And start asking, have I taught them how to own it? That's what ILS is for. It gives you the tools, the language, the rhythm to raise entrepreneurs, not just employees. Because you don't just need help, you need partners in the mission. You want to know the best part? You can start right now, this week. Just choose one person on your team who has shown even the smallest sign of initiative. And then give them one real project, not a task, a project, and frame it like this. I'm not going to ask you to just get this done. I'm asking you to lead it. I want you to think through the whole outcome, make a decision, and then bring me results, not questions. And then step back. Let them rise. Is it going to be perfect? Nope. Is it going to stretch you? Most definitely. But will it start changing the way that your company grows? Absolutely. You're no longer the bottleneck. Now you're the blueprint. And what you model others are going to mimic. If you lead with ownership, trust, and development, your team will start showing up in the same way. So let's say this really loudly. Your business should not rest on your shoulders. Not because you're not capable of it, but because you're building something bigger than your own capacity. It's time to activate a team of intrapreneurs. It's time to lead like a multiplier. It's time to stop holding it all and start building what holds you. And in our next live on Friday, we're going into exactly how the ILS framework develops leaders at every level and how to stop defaulting to top-down command and start activating ownership from the inside out. And we're just getting started on ILS. So let's build that leadership ripple together. We'll see you on Friday.